Hello there and welcome to this month's episode of Dawn and Julia Create. It's Julia McNeil Crafts here and this is the challenge for this month. So I have set this challenge this time and I have gone for Steampunk because I love Steampunk and I know that Dawn gets the Craftbox UK subscription. I don't, but if there's a box I fancy I do purchase it. So I was up the minute that this launched because I knew there was only something like 30 spare boxes to make sure I got mine because I adore Steampunk. So I've chosen these two papers, these snip arts, which we have to use one of each, one from each packet. We have some cogs, florals, but actually the florals that came in my box and Dawn's box are slightly different, so any flowers that you may have, to be honest I'm quite glad I got my ones because mine are red and I love red. We have a key and then we have these amazing cabochons with sort of like a steampunk cat, which I am loving. So the brief was to make a 6x6 canvas or altered cardboard, and I don't have a 6x6 canvas, so I have cut a piece of cardboard to that size and I am going to start playing with that. Now I have to say I'm not overly fussed on this paper. I'm not particularly impressed with it, so I think that's kind of why I've put it in the mix. So I'm just going to rip and tear some of it, so I think it's going to be a bit of a background element. And seeing as I'm working with cardboard, I will just expose some of it to get some of the texture. I thought it was really funny last month that both Dawn and I knew that each other would expose the texture a little bit, and we both mentioned it in our videos, and then we both did it, so it was kind of funny. And now it's only a couple of weeks till Dawn and I will actually get to meet, so that should be fun. So I think next month, Dawn's setting the challenge next month, but it might be a little bit different. So we will see. And I know what I'm doing for her for May, and I don't think she's going to like me for it. But I think it's only fair because like I am still moaning about the whole green thing, and I find every opportunity to do it. I even moaned about it on live TV. So, you know, because I love her so much, I think it's only fair that I'm mean to her so that she's got something to moan about. You know, I'm kind like that. So I'm just going to expose a little bit of this texture. I don't know if we're going to see any of it at the end of the project because I absolutely have no plan whatsoever. I'm just jumping in with both feet and hoping for the best. So that's the way to craft. We're winging it. I have no idea of a plan. It's funny, I set these challenges and it's not like I even have an idea in my head of the direction that I'm going either. I just kind of think, oh, those are nice. Those are nice crafting items. Let's go with that. I know we both have that, so we'll go with that. Okay, so that's me exposed a bit of this. Then I am going to stick that down there. I'm going to use my Phil Martin glue because I always seem to find that whenever I use gel medium it doesn't want to play, and this glue is clogged, the story of my life. Okay, I have unclogged the glue. I'm going to put a generous amount of this on because I am going to be sort of abusing this. I'd imagine there's going to be quite a few mediums and whatnot going on there, so I want to make sure it's well and truly stuck down. So I'm going to stick that there. And then I actually think I am going to fussy cut some of this out. So let's see, I think I'll stick with the sort of stained bits, but what I may do, how quickly can I do it? Do I need to put you on fast forward? What do we think? Let's see. Oh, actually I think I'm moving not too bad. So when I'm fussy cutting I will move the paper and not the scissors. So, and I also have my scissors fairly far back when I'm doing it. So yeah, I'll just finish that off camera. Okay, so I've fussy cut that out and tried to keep some of the sort of coffee staining elements, and I'm thinking I've just kind of ripped and torn some of the other bits, and I'm thinking that I'll sort of maybe layer some of those up like that. So I am quite liking that. I don't know if I want to stick it down just yet. I'm not sure if I want to just maybe get a bit of an idea of layout before I commit myself to decide whether I want to sort of be painting the background up first. So I'm just going to open these so they're not crinkly in the camera. Okay, I've got quite a lot of embellishments because of the quota that I was saying take one from each set, that I'm thinking that I'm going to have some of the embellishments just slightly underneath the focal image as well as some on top. So I'm going to stick some of these down and see how we get on. So I'm thinking that I'll just edge this with this snip art. We'll pop that down like so. And then I did like these bits just up there, so I'm going to stick those on as well. And then I am going to cover this with some clear gesso, just to give it a tooth, and then we can work out what we're doing after that. So I have already put the clear gesso on. I am just going to put a little bit of the white gesso over some of these corrugated elements, because I'm thinking that I really like the contrast between the white and the sepia elements, so I want to work with that a bit more. So I'm going to make the white down in these corrugated bits just that bit heavier, but it's a good way of being able to see the texture. And I'm maybe just going to blend these elements in as well, so they're maybe not quite so stark. So I'm just going to let that dry. As I said, I don't want to lose too much of the white, but what I may do is just sort of go around the edges of this with a distress ink once it's dry, and we can build up from there. Okay, so let's try a bit of walnut stain, and we'll just edge this piece a little bit. As I said, I want to be careful that I don't lose too much of the white, but it does need a edge or vignette sort of thing just to bring the eye in a little bit. So I'm just going to briefly go around the edges. Okay, and we will see how the project is looking then. So I am tempted to paint the the hot air balloon in teal. So we'll just see how that would work. Okay, so I think that's brought that in a little bit, and then we've got our little gentleman there. So that's kind of roughly what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the teal and the red would go quite nice. Plus we've got those tiny teal bits in the background, and there's a touch of teal in that rose. And I have this paint right beside me. So let's see. Do I have a little paint sheet? Bring this over, and I don't think I'm going to paint all of the elements. I might just paint these little frames as well. So these snip art things, they're quite white anyway, so you don't really have to prime them too much. So this is my Dilutions paint. I'm just going to quickly cover them in that, and then I may just use a tiny bit of gilding wax just to bring out some of the extra elements. Okay, there we go. That's them done. Coming together quite nicely. I do love steampunk. I don't know what it is about steampunk that I like. But yeah, it was great fun when I got the kit, and there's all these sort of cogs and bits and bobs. Fabulous. Okie dokie. Let's have a little play with the layout, and we can see what we're thinking. So I'm kind of wanting this gentleman to be over here. I'm just maybe need to wipe my fingers before I end up sticking blue paint where I don't want it, which would be unfortunate. Right, and I'm thinking if we just layer up a load of the cogs together, and And let's put an extra one in his hat. And maybe one of the cats. Something like that. Okay. And then I was thinking of having that there. And maybe some of these. I don't know. Suddenly realise how many elements I'm expecting us to put on. It's not going to be a less is more sort of project this time. It's going to be throw everything you've got at it. And I've also got the key. Oops. Maybe need to wait for these things to dry a little bit. I'm wondering if something along those lines might work. Decisions. Yes, I quite like that. I wish I'd kind of, I don't know if there's enough paper, I wish I'd kind of got something for the balloon to be backed onto. I may contemplate that. Right, the other thing I think I'm going to do is just get a little bit of gilding wax onto this project a little bit. I think on the snip parts here, oops, that's me managed to get blue onto my project, so that was bound to happen at some point. That's what happens if you don't wait for things to dry. So yeah, let's get a bit of gilding wax on and see how that changes things. Okay, so I'm back with my gilding wax. I'm just going to pop a bit. Oh, that's quite nice. It got that. Do you know, I'm pleased I did that because it wasn't in my head, it was just to sort of add gold. But now that I've done that, it's created almost a patina effect, which is quite nice. A very blingy patina effect, but I'm happy with that, yes. I'm actually going to be quite generous with that and not just aim for the edges but go over the whole bit. I might just make sure the edges are nicely gilded though, because that will look good on the project. Yeah, happy. I love it when you do something you're like, oh yes, that works. It wasn't intentional. Well, it was intentional to put the wax on, but in my head I hadn't even thought about the patina effect. But actually, and it's not a full patina effect, it's just sort of like golden teal, but it nods to that a little bit. So I'm going to put a little bit on some of the cogworks in the centre, not too much, but then have it quite goldy at the edges. I think that looks nice. Okay. And then once that's, I'll buff that up in a second, and while I've got it out, let's just put some round the edge of the project as well to frame it, because I do always like using gold on a project that has been made out of packaging. I think I've mentioned it a few times, but I like the irony of the most precious metal with ripped cardboard. It's just something that appeals to me for some reason. I'm just going to pop that round the edges of this, and then we can get my little paint rag and buff it all up. So I'm wondering what Dawn's done. I think we'll have gone quite different this time, to be honest. And I don't know whether she'll have used a canvas or whether she will have used cardboard. But we will see. A little mixed media project. I do like a bit of mixed media. It's a while since I've played with all my mediums, so it feels good. It feels good to be getting my hands this filthy. I saw this post on Facebook the other day, other women's hands, and it had like them holding it absolutely beautifully, you know, with like sparkly clean nails, and then it was like my hands and it was like absolutely covered in paint, and I was like, yep, that is me. That is the story of me. Right, buffing up my fingers here. I will be going down to wash them fairly soon, but I'm going to have to put gel medium on and wait for things to dry, so I will wash it all down and then. So I'm just using my painty cloth just to do a bit of buffing, because the gilding wax that I use is Pebeo. It's furniture grade, so it is designed to go on furniture and be buffed up like that. So I think that is probably a good thing to do. Now, because I'm using metal embellishments and things, I think I'm going to have to use my gel medium. I am wishing that I had backed this though, so I think I'm going to have to maybe do it with torn pieces like that. But what I will maybe do is I'm just going to grab a different distress. I'm going to have to piece this to make it work, but I think rather than hide that, let's emphasise that. And then because we've got the teal on it, I've just got peacock feathers, and I'm just literally going to catch the edges of it like that, so that we're making a feature of the fact that the paper is ripped. And I might just even, let's add a bit on there as well, so that we've got the colour into the basket of the balloon. So yeah, I'm just going to glue that half down. So let's grab my glue. Because I'm just sticking this to paper, I'm just using my ordinary glue, but as I said, because we're going to be sticking down metal embellishments and cabochons and all of that sort of stuff, I need to get the gel medium out and wait for that to dry properly. So let's see, I'll pop that like so, and then I will grab another piece. So again, I'm just going to maybe, it doesn't matter that I've got a bit of paint on that as well, it's all going to add to the, so I'm just going to add a little bit here, and then maybe around the edges here, so this part is slightly, there we go, yeah, and yeah, so let's stick this side down as well, then we will cut that out and then attach everything together. So I will just cut this out off camera because there's nothing overly exciting to see, and I just think that's going to stand off the project slightly better being properly backed. Okay, back in a mo. Okay, so let's get layering. I am going to have this balloon coming completely off page because I think that would be quite fabulous. So I'll get that on first, and I'm being very generous with some gel medium, and then I will come back to this tomorrow to finish it off. Right, let's have a little see here. Where's my little, I was going to pop, I don't want this over a little bit, I was thinking of putting these little key elements there. So with it being a gel medium, it is going to be movable for quite some time because it's going to take time for this to dry properly, so we do have a bit of a wiggle room if I haven't got it in exactly the right place, so we're okay, we're good to go. Right, what I'm also going to do is I'm just going to pop all of these key elements out, and then that means I can use the waist to lift him up so that he's resting on a few snip art pieces, so this is going to be the exact right thickness. So if I use this to build him up, then that's going to just work perfectly. So if I just stick that on the back there, I've got the right height for him. So I will just do that now, and then we can put him down. A great way of using up your scraps, leave nothing to waste. Now he sits just nice. So I'll get him down. So I'm going to put on loads of this stuff on the actual chipboard bits, because those are the bits that are going to be sticking, and that's fine because it actually leaves gaps for me to tuck things behind as I layer things up. Okay, right, let's get some cogs going on. So I like to overlap the embellishments. I think it always looks slightly better. You know, if you try and plonk them like that and have them sort of evenly spaced, they don't seem to work as well. But piled on top of each other, it seems to, I don't know, it just seems to have a slightly better flow. And having said that, I'm going to move this one down a bit. But that's because I want the flower, I want there to be room for the flower. So there's quite a lot of gel medium popping through that, which doesn't look overly good, so I'm going to put a more solid cog on top of that, like so. And then I'm thinking that the red flower will sit there, so we're still going to see the cogs, which is good. So I'll maybe pop another one just up here. Almost like I would normally do with foliage. I quite often have a flower and then sort of leaves and spirals, so it's like I'm creating that with cogs instead. So we've done that now. Have I saved myself any for his hat? Yes, I've got one. Woohoo! That's good, because that was part of my design. So I'm going to pop a cog just on his hat, and then I was going to use one of the cat cabochons as oil. Actually, I'm going to move that over slightly so that I can move the cat over slightly. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Happy, happy, happy. It's great when you feel like your project's going to plan. Okay, so I've already stuck that down. Right, I was thinking of having the key coming down the side of the hot air balloon there. Now the only thing I'm thinking as I'm looking at this project is, I know I do things in the rule of threes, and also that it's good to create a sort of arrow or, you know, Z thing. So this is the focal element here, but what's throwing it off balance for me now is we've got teal up here and we've got teal there, but there's nothing teal down here to sort of create the full picture, so I'm going to have to add another tealish element down here just for it to work. So let me see what we can do. I'm wondering whether to go for a cog actually. Let's see. I definitely want a flower here. So I'm going to put that down here, and then we're probably going to have to do quite a bit of work with shadowing and shading and everything just to bring the piece together. It's still looking very disjointed at the moment, but once we've added various elements, then that hopefully, or once we've added sort of like dry gessoing and colour toning and getting everything together that way, hopefully it will make more sense. So I'm just going to put my, that would look quite pretty there, especially, so that's got the sort of teal edging there. So I wonder if just... Okay, so everything has dried nicely. I have to admit that my memory card was full and it suddenly stopped just as I was finishing off. So off camera I've added these cat cabochons. I ended up adding a touch of red. There was a bit up there, so that's obviously gone missing. So yeah, I've added a touch of red there, and then there was a little red cog there, so that's obviously dropped off and being transferred over. So yes, I will find that at some point, but right now I will get on with doing some shadowing. So I have got some of my gouache, Arteza gouache. I will put a link to where you can get this down below. I am involved in their affiliate marketing scheme, so it is an affiliate link. It doesn't cost you any more, but I get a tiny bit of pocket money if anyone buys anything. So this one here is burnt umber, and I've also pulled out ice blue and pearl white, so I'll just get them onto my palette. Okay. Well, I had a quick look for my little red cog thing whilst I was thinking of my palette thinking it'll have just sort of dropped off where it was drying, and I can't see it anywhere, so that is going to bother me somewhat. I'm most upset about that. Right, I'm just going to create a little bit of shadowing. I'm mixing the burnt umber and the pearl. I'm not quite sure what direction I'm wanting to take this at the minute, so I'm just going to be blending, just blending out, and hopefully sort of these areas will become a little bit more highlighted and we will see the elements. I'm also thinking that I may add a little bit of frantage, possibly some drips, but I'm not sure what colour and where. So for the minute I am just going to be doing shadowing. I will build it up like so, like having it sort of darker coming out to lighter, and if I feel something needs to be darkened a little bit more, I will just go back in with the burnt umber really dark like I have just there. But what I'm going to do is pop you on fast forward while I continue to do the rest of that. Okay, so I've done all my shadowing and I found my little red piece, so I'm more than happy with that. That's still a bit of a harsh line, but we'll see where we go. Right, now I'm going to play with some frantage. Now I find the easiest way to make things, because you are supposed to sort of just sprinkle it on and you know, heat from the back, and it'll gradually turn, and then the embossing powder holds all the elements. But I do find that when you're working on a mixed media project like this and you've got lots of layers that the heat's got to get through, that I struggle doing it that way. So obviously it is embossing powder, so it's designed to stick to like a Versamark ink pad, which you can do, but then that's very difficult to control unless you've got a pen as to where you want it. So I found the next best thing for me is I am going to just dab some glycerin onto the areas that I am wanting this to stick. So I am just going to choose some areas and pop some glycerin on it, and then that should hold the embossing powder, which will then hold all the different things. So I'm choosing 3 areas. I've kind of gone along the bottom here, just next to the thing, and then I'm just going to possibly put a little bit up here. Just a tiny bit, just again that rule of thirds and bringing everything in. So that's me popped my glycerin on. Okay, and I've chosen some, so I've got aged teal. This is why I thought of this, because I knew I had ones that were sort of like teal and bronze colours, and I just thought they would be perfect. So I'm going to put this on. So the idea is like the embossing powder will hold all the bits, so you always want to make sure when you're doing this that you've got some sort of embossing powder down, and so that's why I am putting this on first. So I've got a bit of this one because it's got the teal and the bronze, but I've also got a bronze embossing powder too, so I am going to add some of this. So this is aged copper embossing powders. I haven't used my frantage in ages. So let's get a bit of that on, and it's okay if it spreads out. Actually that's quite good, because then you get sort of like extra lumps, extra sort of bits of elements in different places, and that just sort of adds to the whole look. So let's put some more down there. So a lot of this will blow off as I heat it, but the fact that we've got that glycerin down, hopefully it should make a difference. So I'm just going to add a few mica flakes. So I've got some in blue in this teal colour. I'm going to put a few of those down. Oops, it's a bit, oop, oh, well that's more than I'd expected, but to be honest most of that is going to blow off. and I've got some that looks like chipped paint, so I'll maybe put some of these in. Like so. Put some down here because I don't get any of the mica flakes down there. And then I have got some little bronze sort of bronze glass glitter. So we'll put some of that down too. So then we've got some sparkle, but it's kind of, it's not pretty sparkle, because pretty sparkle in steampunk is a bit, you know, you're wanting the bronzes and the golds. So let's put some of that down. And then I'm going to be using my slow heat gun. So that's my Ranger one. As I said, we are still going to get some of it blowing, so I want to pull, ideally I go for the back, but because I've got so much on it, it's not going to work. So I'm actually just holding this from quite a distance, and I want to wait for the embossing powder to start to turn. Once the embossing powder starts to turn, I can bring it closer, because the embossing powder is going to hold those mica elements, the mica flakes and things. So I'm just waiting for that. I'll just do a little bit so you can see it, and then I'll do the rest of it off camera. So I'm just gradually going closer now because it's beginning to turn. So I'm just doing this bit by the cat cabochon, and we'll gradually see that turning. And because I'm beginning to see bits bubbling, I don't know if that's getting caught on camera. And then as those bits bubble, they will catch the mica flakes. So you can just see it turning there just by the cat, if I try and get the angle right. So what I'm going to do, because this will take a while, I need to go slow or I'm going to lose quite a lot of my elements. So I'll just finish the rest of that off camera, and I'll be back and show you the effect once it's done. Okay, so I've finished that, and I've just got out my Gansey Tambies, because they've got a really gorgeous gold just at the bottom. I'm trying to turn this so you can actually see it in the screen. Okay, and I think I'm just going to do some gold drips just along the top, and then I'm quite tempted. I was wanting to do red drips to bring in the red of the flowers, but then I just wasn't sure whether that would look like sort of, I don't know, I want to say like there's been a murder, but I've already done that on a Dawn and Julia Create. So at the minute I'm just going with the gold drips. Yeah, that's looking nice. So I'm just getting it nice and wet and then letting it travel down, and I think that's probably okay just there. So I'll do that, and then what I might do is just have some red splatters in certain areas once that's dry. So I'll just give that a little blast with the heat gun. Okay, so I do really want some red splashes. So I'm just going to activate this red, but I'm going to cover up loads of it because I just want it in certain areas. So I'm thinking I kind of want it in this corner here. So I really am being quite specific. I'm going to have to move these paints out of the screen there. I'm quite specific where these areas are coming from because I don't want masses of red everywhere, but I do just want to bring it in a little bit. I might just bring that up a little bit more, and then I will do the same on the other corner and see how that's looking, because I'm just thinking we've got that pop of red, which is great, but it's just maybe needing a tiny bit more, but I don't want it over the whole project. Okay, I think that might be me. Okay, I thought that was me, but I've decided I'd really like to emphasise his glasses and things. So I've actually got some Nouveau drops, which I'm going to use like glossy accents. And for some reason I find it easier to do this with my Nouveau drops because I always seem to get air bubbles and things when I use glossy accents, whereas I find this much easier to do. So I'm just going to go over his glasses. And it's like, it's not going to be a particularly even, perfect thing when it's dried. But that's okay, because it'll just add to the look of it. So I'm going to have to come back. I'm just going to tap it a few times to flatten it a little bit. And then I might do some of the cogs. And then some of the cogs on the hot air balloon as well. Just for some tiny little bit of added extra detail. And then what I'll have to do is come back when it's dry, because at the minute it just looks a bit funny, and see how it's looking. But I think overall I'm happy. Now I am thinking I would like a sentiment just across there, but of course I didn't put any sentiments in, and I'm always the one that's naughty, so I feel I shouldn't be naughty again. But you know, after it's gone to air, I may very well stick a sentiment just there, because I feel it's lacking. So yeah, I'm just I'm not going to do all the cogs on the balloon, just some of them. Again, just for that added, I think with mixed media, Steampunk, it's a perfect opportunity to just go mad with the whole mixed media thing. Maybe do one over here. So that's all of that. I'll just let that dry and I'll be back just to show you the finished project. Okay, so that is those parts dried, and I just realised I never did any dry gessoing on it, and I just think it maybe needs a tiny little bit, especially that red. So I've actually got a really big paintbrush here, and I'm holding it quite far back, and I'm just going to add a little bit of dry gessoing over it a little bit, just to sort of blend some of the elements together. As I said, I don't want too much because I don't particularly want to lose it, but it's just I think maybe some of the elements could just do with being blended a little, looking a little less shiny. So I'm just going to do that, and then I think that's most likely going to be me now. Okay, I think especially on here. Yeah. Especially on this bit there, I think that'll make a bit of a difference. Okay, so that is me done. I am tempted to cheat, but I'm not going to. But just look how good would this look. When I ask for directions, do not use words like east. I just think a little sentiment just there would be perfect. But I'm going to leave it off and be good. But I just wanted to throw that in there. Anyway, if you have enjoyed it here, please do consider liking and subscribing. Don't forget to go over and check what our lovely Dawn has done. I will be popping over there as soon as I can to watch it. And I'll see you again very soon. Okay, take care then, and goodbye.